morning.
Sorry.
Prime Minister.
Morning.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure seeing you, Excellency. Pleasure.
Prime Minister.
Pleasure. Have a seat. Yes, good morning, High Commissioner. Pleasure receiving you and your delegation.
Thank you.
First time to Antigua?
First time, yes.
Yeah, well, I hope I am going to see you very often.
I would love to come back. It's beautiful.
Well, we look forward. And
Thank you.
congratulations on your appointment as High Commissioner to Antigua and Barbuda.
Thank you.
And I certainly want to take this opportunity to wish you a most successful tenure. I hope too that you will utilize your good office to help to strengthen the bilateral relationship between both our countries. As you know, we have had long-standing relations since our country became independent in 1981. And I'll say too that Canada has been one of the most important bilateral relationships for Antigua and Barbuda. In fact, in the early 80s, 90s, Canada would have helped us significantly. Even prior to that, in building out a few schools, it would have helped us as well with a previous iteration of our international airport, the BC Bird International Airport. So Canada has assisted Antigua and Barbuda immensely and would have helped us to build capacity in a number of areas. Even when we suffered the consequences of Irma in 2017, when our sister island Barbuda was decimated, Canada came to our post-hurricane recovery, and for that we're extremely grateful. So this bilateral relationship is very important for us, and we continue to nurture it. You know too that we are linked heavily in terms of people-to-people exchanges. We have thousands of Antiguans and Barbudans who are living in Canada. In fact, my own maternal step-grandmother lived in Canada and actually practiced in Canada as a doctor for a number of years. And my older brother is still a citizen and resident of Canada. So even in my case, there's a direct family relationship. And we recognize the importance of Canada, and you can be assured of our continued support. We have collaborated in many areas of climate, UN security reform of the international financial architecture, and issues of human rights, even issues of LGBTQIA issues. I know your Prime Minister has been very firm on that issue. And I also am aware that he's about to demit office.
Yes.
He's also a good friend of mine. In fact, he's a family friend of my family in Canada. And it was my brother who introduced him to me back in 2013, to the extent that Justin and his family spent about a week here vacationing before he became Prime Minister. And I kind of believe he copied my slogan.
What's that?
Because I had a slogan at the time in 2013. Again, I was in opposition seeking to become Prime Minister. And the slogan was ready to rebuild. And I remember he saw it. We were driving through Woods Estate, and he was very impressed. In Canada at the time, they were saying that he was not ready. And I noticed that he responded with some billboards saying, ready. So I was quite happy with his elevation to the Prime Ministership. He has had a relatively good tenure, been almost 10 years.
Yes.
And to have been given 10 years in politics is significant by any standard. And I certainly would like to wish him continued success in his new endeavor. And again, he will remain a close friend. And I hope that the incoming Prime Minister will take the necessary steps to even build stronger bonds of friendship. And certainly you as a representative of Canada here, that you will also help us to build stronger bilateral and multilateral relations. I believe that there is scope for us to strengthen the relationship. I'm one of the advocates for Canada to be involved in more bilateral cooperation. I believe that it represents better bang for the money, greater cooperation. Because if you observe, for example, in terms of candidature, many Caribbean countries have actually moved away from supporting Canada. And when you look at our historical links, even our geography, in the same hemisphere, sometimes I wonder why. And I believe too that the multilateral cooperation does not engender that type of appreciation. And not that I'm saying there's not a role for multilateral cooperation, but I believe certainly for the small islands, oasis countries, that bilateral cooperation will be a little more beneficial, because when you do multilateral cooperation, larger countries subsume most of the resources. That is the reality of it. I'm not trying to split the support or to divide the region, but just stating a fact as to what works for us. You know too that a small state, especially those of us within the OECS, we have significant issues in international fora, issues of climate, even de-risking has been an issue for us. You would have noted that the Canadian banks have practically de-risked from this area. As a consequence, most of our banking assets are now controlled by the domestic banks. But we have to credit Canada for helping us to build up our banking industry over a number of decades. So for that, we're also very grateful. And again, that is indicative of the strong cooperation and collaboration that we've had for many decades. So again, I just want to thank you and to reassure you of the continued support and cooperation of Antigua and Barbuda. In fact, we have been one of the most consistent supporters of Canada in the international forum. So when it comes to candidature, Antigua and Barbuda is normally a very reliable partner in terms of supporting Canada. And again, as I said, we've collaborated on many issues and will continue to do so. So again, wishing you good health and a more successful tenure.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We're very much aligned because a lot of what you just relayed to me is in these prepared remarks. Would you like me to read through them?
Yes, the ball is in your court. Whatever you're comfortable with, or you just want to have a verbal exchange. It
really underscores the relationship. I'm happy to just have a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, our bonds are long-lasting and strong. The people-to-people ties are impressive. On the trade front, just last night we held a reception with the business community here, and so I have a trade and investment background, and I'm hoping that we can get some more commercial enhanced ties.
What was the possibility of having greater collaboration with your import-export agency?
With our EDC, our export development. I mean, we can look into that.
Certainly, because I think that trade between Canada and Antigua and Barbuda is minuscule. We do a significant amount of trade with the US. I would say 80% of the products that we consume purchase from the US. But I believe that the opportunities for us to do more business with Canada, even in terms of attracting tourists. I don't think we get enough Canadian tourists, even though we have seen an uptick within recent years. There's no doubt about that. But based on the fact that you have hundreds of thousands, millions of tourists traveling within this hemisphere, I know this Costa Rica is a favorite of Canadians. So I'm hoping that Antigua and Barbuda will become one of the most significant destinations for Canadians in this hemisphere. And I think too, from the standpoint that our product is improving, our product is now transitioning to a luxury product. We're attracting a number of luxury brands, and I think that Canadians will be able to enjoy a most rewarding and most delightful vacation here in Antigua, and certainly no Sister Barbuda.
Well, the country is absolutely stunning, so I'm not surprised that there's been an uptick. And last night, meeting with some of the hoteliers, they were saying that there is more Canadians coming, and you have some Canadian hotel chains here. So, looking forward to trying to help that grow. And also just you have a lot of events coming up in the next while, which attract a lot of people. So you will see more of me. We're a committed partner in the OAS, of course, and you'll be hosting the General Assembly.
In fact, you assisted us with the SIDS conference.
Exactly, yes.
We're certainly very thankful, and I'm quite from time to time we'll be turning to you to help us with capacity building as we host these major conferences. As you said, we have an OAS, we're having a tourism CTO conference here as well this year. And next year we'll have a big one, the Trogo.
Exactly.
So whoever emerges as the new Prime Minister, we certainly would want to invite them, make sure that they're present here. I had hoped it would have been my dear friend Justin, but unfortunately, that's the nature of politics. They say a day in politics like 1,000 years.
But yes, congratulations on SIDS 4.
Thanks.
We did have a delegation here.
And thank you for your assistance. I mean, you contributed to the success. Yeah.
And looking forward to CHOGM and working on the substance of the meetings and with the Commonwealth Secretariat. And look forward to coming back to Antigua for that as well.
Well, one of the areas in which we seek your cooperation, High Commissioner, is to have these itinerant missions in which they can take the biometric details for people who are interested in, in getting the necessary visas. I see there is an ETA now, but I imagine student visas and so on. I don't know if that can be arranged, or if it's not necessary. I'm not too sure. Yeah.
So in the past we have come and done
Yes.
pop-ups in some countries, so I
Correct.
could take that. I'll take that back with me.
And at one point too, we were a little disappointed in that Canada had initiated visa requirements in us, but I see now that they uplifted it, and what is required now is ETA, which is not as difficult. So we're grateful for that. Yeah.
And we're always monitoring to see when we can lift visas and assessing the situation. So thank you.
Very well. So appreciate it, and again, looking forward to even stronger relations as we go along. We have a strong foundation in which to build, and as I said before, we are reliable partners, so you can count on us. You don't have to lobby us when it comes to candidature and to support causes, include climate and or another area in which we would have received your support in the past, and we hope we continue to receive your support, is the MVI, the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index. You would have noted that Antigua and Barbuda played a leading role in the establishment of that or creation of that index. We think it's important from the standpoint that it takes into consideration the country's vulnerability. The problem that Antigua and Barbuda has had over the decades is that we've had a relatively high per capita income, but it doesn't take into consideration the vulnerability of the country. And as a consequence, even when we get struck and decimated by hurricanes, we don't get any assistance because there's this notion that we're a wealthy country. But I don't know how you can be wealthy when you're in a crisis. So we felt that the per capita income criterion itself, was backward looking, and it really didn't serve our purpose. So we believe that the MVI will help Antigua and Barbuda and other middle income countries to make a justifiable case for assistance from time to time. It's not that we want to go cap in hand with a begging bowl to anyone, but you have to take into consideration that through no fault of ours, from time to time, we have to contend with these devastating storms, and that represents a real case for assistance. As I said, the last situation there in 2017 with Irma, Canada did step up and assist us, so there was no issue about whether or not we have a high per capita income. So Canada was responsive. In fact, your Prime Minister actually called me at the time I was in Parliament and volunteered to assist, and I was just very grateful. And again, as I said, we have had a personal relationship. Maybe now that he will no longer be Prime Minister, that he can come on vacation again in Antigua. So you can let him know that I extend the invitation.
Yeah, the IFI reform and looking at MVI is of course of interest to us, and we're looking forward to the results of the CDB pilot. And I wanted to ask you as well about the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity, and how is that coming off the ground?
Yeah, so that emanated from discussions with the Abbas here, and it's Jane who is pushing it. And again, the whole concept is to monetize our latent climate assets that we're holding reserves that sequester a significant amount of carbon. And if we can preserve or conserve those areas, but at the same time monetize them, it will help us to raise much needed financial capacity to adapt our funding to adapt and mitigate against the effects of climate change. So we're in full support of it, and Jean is actually working out the logistics and trying to get others on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from although Antigua is no longer, Bermuda no longer eligible for ODA.
Yeah, we graduated.
Yeah, we still have our Caribbean Development Regional Programming, our Caribbean Regional Development Programming, which Antigua benefits from. And you mentioned some of the support we did after Hurricane Irma, and through SEDEMA as well. We've helped with addressing some of the water flow and
Correct.
Yeah, the flooding. So
yeah, but again, the area of trade, though, we have significant interests in strengthening collaboration there. I'm pretty sure that you have competitive Canadian products that would be useful to us. and it is our desire to expand our tourism product into Canada. So
my sense last night was the challenge is not people here not interested in Canadian products, but maybe the shipping is the challenge and the cost associated.
Ship by the US. I mean, China ships to by the US. Yeah, we ship by the US. I mean, I'm quite sure that the logistics framework in place that we can utilize to get the goods here. It's just that we're very traditional in our approach. The easiest thing to do is to go to Miami to shop.
Yeah.
But again, especially when you have a weak Canadian dollar, your products are very competitive. You're more productive, more competitive than those in the US. And I don't think we're seizing those kind of arbitrage opportunities. We're just doing the same mundane things. Our business people, unfortunately, going through the same routine. Buying from Miami rather than looking at Canada, where you'll have better prices.
I think I piqued some interest last night with the business community, so I'll keep at that.
And coming from you, they're a little more objective. Coming from me, they will think, well, I'm trashing them. So, but the opportunities will be exploited, and I hope they take it seriously and they will exploit those opportunities. Yeah.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention
your letter of credentials.
Yes, but also Lieutenant Colonel Barker, who's here in Antigua, because we're doing training related to upcoming trade winds and RSS.
I appreciate that, and we're a little concerned with the recent turn of events in which Caribbean countries are now backing out of the Haiti mission. It is not our intention to back out, but we may have to limit our role in the sense that this has now brought a little geopolitical issue into the fray, in which if we have soldiers in the front lines and they get hurt or get killed, while others are pulling out, I can imagine that in itself could result in a political backlash. If we're all in it together and any such casualties, is a different ball game. But when you have larger countries pulling out of the mission, and you can check that out, Colonel, but that's what is happening right now. So we will participate, but again, we may just have to at least limit to the extent of the exposure of our soldiers in the interim. Yeah.
Well, we've appreciated your leadership in CARICOM too,
It's been a pleasure.
Moving towards Haitian-led solutions.
And Justin did a good job too, in convening us from time to time, even on the margins of the UN, and we've come up with a number of initiatives to help to resolve the situation in Haiti. Unfortunately, it remains a challenging situation, but it has to resolve, and it requires a commitment of all. We remain committed, even though we have to manage the domestic politics, but sometimes actions of other countries create domestic pressures, and that is why we are watching this development and trying to limit our exposure for the time being, but remain committed. Yeah.
And we now also have our Canada CARICOM strategic partnership launched in 2023, so looking forward to continued high-level engagement moving forward. At the leaders level, it will be a different leader, obviously.
Well, yeah, and I hope the leader will come. The last engagement we had, unfortunately, the Prime Minister did not show up. We were a little disappointed. I think the Mr. Champagne, that's his name, that he sent the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think when we're having this type of dialogue, we expect to see the leader himself, not the minister. So I hope future engagements will have top-level participation. But again, we appreciate the discussions nonetheless. Yeah.
Well, it's my privilege and my honor to serve as High Commissioner for Antigua and Barbuda. I didn't make it to Barbuda on this trip, but
well, you have to. It's now emerging as a marquee luxury destination in the Caribbean. Yes. We have attracted a number of luxury brands, and we're just very excited with the, let's say, resilience of Barbuda. It not only bounced back, it actually bounced forward.
Yes, that's what I was learning last night. Yes, thank you.
Again, wish you one successful tenure.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Pleasure.
Thank you.
There's a little token of appreciation here.
Thank you very much. I also have one for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Red and white,
Exactly.
Good.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Welcome to you, Excellency. This is your first visit?
It is.
This is your official visit?
My first visit and first official visit.
Great. With me this morning, I have the creme de la creme of my ministry, top tier of my ministry, permanent secretary, seated right next to you. On his left, our newly appointed DG. Immediately back of her, the deputy permanent secretary. And of course, at your back is she who commands all the levers of communication between ourselves and Canada. Let me thank our local government broadcasting agencies for being with us. It is very typical that they tell the people what we're doing, and so that's the only reason they're here. They will not tell them what we're saying, but what we're doing. Let me again welcome you to Antigua Barbuda, to congratulate you on your assignment, your appointment by your government to serve as High Commissioner. Ours have been a history of strong, long bilateral relations. When we became independent in 1981, as part of the Commonwealth of Nations, it was automatic that we move in that direction. And as an independent nation, I feel a degree of pride this morning to welcome you when I look back at the history of our relations. I myself am the beneficiary of Canadian investment in education, in that the school which I attended was one of 3 secondary schools constructed by Canadian funding or through Canadian funding. I wouldn't hesitate to tell you, as a matter of top priority, that we definitely would be glad to have Canada relook those schools for expansion and renovations. They have served us well for all these years, a growing population, and certainly a government which places a premium on education, no less than your government does. I follow you, of course, very closely. As Foreign Minister, I've had the benefit of, or the privilege of coming to Canada on quite a few occasions. Our new DG was also based in Toronto. She was our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, all contacts with Canada, as she occupied the top position there in our consulate. The relations between our 2 countries, of course, as I say, were spanned many years, even before we became independent, but formalized with independence in 1981. We have almost 5,000 Antiguans, Barbadian citizens living in Canada. And of course, we keep check on them through the office that we have in Toronto, which Mrs. Lane was for almost 10 years, almost 11 years, our anchor. Almost our anchor, was our anchor. And so you'd imagine and can understand the premium place we hold Canada. We have had many achievements together at the international level. We have worked together alongside Canadian diplomats in the OAS, in the UN, other agencies. And we've always had that level of connectivity, and we share similar ideals: democracy, freedom of press and information, all those things, the ideas that we share in common. And they would have made life and have made life easier for us to relate to each other. Our system of government is not too far apart. I note with interest that your country is currently going through a little phase, but that too shall pass. If that gives any comfort to you, that too shall pass.
That's democracy at work.
And I refer to 2 things in particular. One is the decision to vacate office by Prime Minister Trudeau, and the second is the internal spats that would have triggered some of that, and the anticipation of what is going to happen in Washington in a couple of days' time. I think we all share those concerns. But I think that your Prime Minister, and I through you, ask that you convey our sincerest appreciation towards your government, your outgoing Prime Minister, for the friendship with Antigua Barbuda, and the many things we've done together. I think of a critical note is the work he has done on the restoration of democracy in Haiti. Haiti for us is not just a country, it is the cradle of civilization for us, the children of former slaves. And for us in the Caribbean, Haitian independence certainly was the beginning for all that happened over the centuries into 1981 for us when we became independent. So the template was set by Haiti, the freedom attained by Haitians in the Haitian Revolution, all those are not just casual for us. They are deep-rooted, deep-seated, and are more than just casual sentiments. We also want to thank Canada for the support they've given us during tough times. COVID, support was forthcoming. Hurricane on Barbuda in 2017. Also, Canada demonstrated its true friendship to Antigua Barbuda and provided assistance. The declaration against use of arbitrary detention is another project that Canada and Antigua would have worked together on, the benefits of which continue to be felt, seen by the Western world and the world at large. And though we differ in the symmetries, it is clear that our value on democracy makes us equal. And for that we want to take note and confirm with you that we place a premium on these relations. There are two projects that I'd wish to speak to very briefly. One is the Farm Workers Project. Antigua Barbuda, over the years, would have been moving away from that project. That's because for a period of time we ourselves did not have any major focus on agriculture. And so the appetite was just not there. Since 2014 and more so since 2020 with the pandemic and the global tagline of food security, food, all these food issues, there is now an uptick and a greater appetite for agriculture, production, all the areas of agriculture. And in that regard, we do have persons who are making inquiries about participation in the Farm Workers Program. And so a second assignment, first one being a look at our schools that were provided, physical plans provided by Canada. This one, a request for the involvement of Antiguans and Barbudans in the Farm Workers Program. The third issue in that regard, if I'm counting properly, yes, is the whole question of the entry into Canada of Antiguan and Barbudan citizens. The process which started in 2022, it was Garen? Then 2022, of having biometrics done on island. It was affected, and we have not seen it happen for a bit. We are appreciative of the fact that the new arrangement with ETA once Antiguans have a visa, that it's easy. But then the persons who would need now to, as first time visitors to Canada, need to have the biometrics done and travel costs in the region, and you will soon find that out if you have not found it out as yet. It is quite prohibitive. And so the facilitation provided by your government of having the officers come to Antigua to uplift fingerprints and other data is very useful, very helpful. And I've been asked almost on a daily basis by Antiguans and Barbudans, when are the Canadians coming again?
Okay, that's very helpful.
I want to assure you that this is not a casual request, because we have done the surveys. It's been proven that, except for University of West Indies here on island, the destination of choice for Antiguans for study purposes is Canada, not the USA. And I can see it becoming more so now. And so for whatever can be done to facilitate those students, I would have said at the start of this conversation that we place a premium on education. It is the way we believe our people can be brought into global utilization, global focus, global service. And so with the interest being in Canadian universities, we really ask very kindly that you and your government give some support with the data collection, biometrics, etc., to facilitate our citizens, especially those who want to look at studying in Canada.
Which we very much enjoy having students from the Caribbean and Canada. They're top-notch institutions. Noted.
The government just went through the budget presentation in December, and coming to that budget, there are some key focus areas for 2025, one of which is the area of mental health. Canada, first world country, known for its medical programs and policies. We turn our attention and focus with a direct request for support from your government with respect to the building out of a mental health platform here in Antigua Barbuda. It is scientifically proven that since the pandemic, mental health has become a global issue, and no less so in Antigua Barbuda, no less in the Caribbean. And so we are desirous of partnering with you, providing, producing, developing programs for funding, for technical support, which can assist us on this very important journey. The government very recently made an investment in a physical infrastructure, which we converted into a wellness center, with mental health, of course, being a key component of that program. And so we really would be very thankful for Canadian assistance. But like I say, we will, after this meeting, present to you in writing, of course, we're projectizing this whole development. And so we will do that to you with the hope that your government will find favor with our requests. I don't want to run the risk of most politicians and speak for a whole day, especially since we're meeting for the first time. It do not give a very good impression of me. And so I think, like I started, I will end by welcoming you to Antigua and Barbuda, thanking your government for your appointment. It tells a story of its own, of the value placed on Antigua-Barbuda relations by your government. That I have here this morning, the top tier of the ministry, should also be to you an indication of the seriousness with which you treat this relationship with your country. And so I bid you welcome, encourage you to enjoy Antigua Barbuda.
Thank you.
Make this just your first visit, certainly not your last visit. And in the course of your tour of duty, we expect to see you at least once per quarter. How about that? I mean, that's a tall ask. But at least expect to see you as often as it's possible as we continue to build out and drill down in the relations. Your predecessors certainly would have left very huge shoes for you to fill. But if I'm to judge from the warmth that you exude, I think you're up to the task. And certainly my team and I, we are here to give you all the support needed to ensure that Canada-Antigua-Barbuda relations soar to yet another level. Our phrase or theme for last election in 2023 was next level. And so I'm in the next level term of office, encouraging you, welcoming you to move the relations Canada-Antigua-Barbuda to a next level.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's a privilege and an honor, and I feel very fortunate to be High Commissioner here and in the region, and you're our neighbors. You're an important part of the Americas for us, and we, as you pointed out, we collaborate in many different fora, and we'll continue to do that, and we're appreciative as well of the areas in which we're aligned and work together, and it is my job to continue to foster those ties. So I look forward to doing that with you and your staff, and we have a few opportunities coming up for that, and congratulations on the SIDS4 conference, and moving forward you'll have trade winds, you'll have the OAS General Assembly, you'll have CHOGM, so
All with Canada.
yeah, so you will see more of me. I'd love to come every quarter, if I'm being very honest.
The beaches are lovely here.
It is indeed. I had the opportunity yesterday to go to Nelson Dockyard and to go to the National Park, and I was with our honorary consul, who does a great job for us here as well, waving the Canadian flag. And last night we had a reception with the business community, and my background is trade and investment as a diplomat, and so I would like to see how we might be able to get more products and services from Canada here. There's already significant investment, so pleased to see how we can explore that, and just the list goes on in terms of areas in which we collaborate. I'm heading to some of our defense training this afternoon. We had our Lieutenant Colonel Barker here, our defense attaché, with his team, and we have the anti-crime capacity building program. We have our Caribbean development, regional development program, which Antigua and Barbuda benefits from. I didn't get to Barbuda on this trip just because it's a short trip, but I'll make sure to do that on my next visit. I'm very excited. I think that's the way that we feel. I feel very honored, and I have a 4-year mandate, so that's a good amount of runway to see what we can do together, and I look forward to those opportunities in the next couple of years to build on what my predecessor established, and I know she misses the Caribbean very much. She's coming back actually to Barbados, so I'm sure it will be very hard when my mandate is up to also, but let's see what we can do together in the meantime.
Sure. I noted the interest that you went yesterday to the most picturesque part of Antigua.
Yes.
That's the gem of Antigua.
Yes, it's straight out of the tourism marketing.
That's home for me.
Is it?
That's my constituency, actually.
Ah, okay.
So that is why I noted the interest. That of all the places you could have gone, you went to St. Paul.
No, I went almost everywhere. I think we just didn't hit the East Coast.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
right? Yeah. So I did see a lot of Antigua
Great.
yesterday.
Well, I'm glad you were able to move around and to see some of the beauty of the country. We've been having good rainfall recently, so the greenery is exceptional. Without asking, I'm sure you enjoy the hospitality of our people,
Yes.
because that is second nature to all Antiguans and Barbudans. We are exceptional at hosting, and so you will find in the staff here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs persons who are ever willing, ever ready to assist you in whatever your requests may be or needs might be.
Thank you.
So-
Yes, the food's been amazing as well, and the hospitality, top notch.
There was a time in my life when I used to ask people, what do you think of Antigua hospitality? I don't do it anymore. I'm so confident I speak about it without even asking what your experience was.
And the service is fast, and it's with a smile, and it's, yeah.
It's work in progress. We continue every day to encourage our hospitality workers to up the ante. We're in a global environment. It's a global industry, and so we got to be super competitive. And notwithstanding our size, we understand the value of hospitality tourism to us, and so every Antigua and Barbuda citizen is a hospitality agent or ambassador. If you met these guys away from the cameras, you'd one of the same guys you would have met this morning, because they would then roll out that side of their national remit. But again, thank you, and I wish you the very best in your tour of duty. And not only do I wish you, but I commit as Minister of Foreign Affairs to making it a pleasant and enjoyable one. Together we will go to the next level.
Like that.
All right?
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you.